finisher he's becoming.
Lane, Oladipo. Oh! That's right. You better mean mug after you dunk on somebody that way.
Gonna run it down. He goes with it. Adebayo for the win.
Welcome to the Post-Up, the Miami Heat post-game show brought to you by the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I'm your host, Jonathan, a.k.a. 3-Piece Combo. You just saw the Miami Heat kick the end of Anna Pacers' ass. I got the crew with me tonight. I got Ariel Atias at Ariel Atias 2. I got Brian Young at Brian is the King. Check out his horror stories. And I got Mr. Gadiel Cartagena at Gadiel Cartagena. So let's just get right into it, right? So phenomenal game overall. The energy was there all night long. Actually, before we get into the game, let's talk about some of our sponsors real quick. Of course, we got Miss Lynette always taking care of us at A Aggressive Insurance, right? You want to make sure you give her a call at 954-581-8800. She's going to take care of all your insurance needs. You don't know what you don't know, right? You don't know when things are going to happen. We live in a really crazy society right now. Things can happen at any time. Make sure you and your loved ones are protected, right? You don't want anything happening, especially during the holiday times where you want to spend time with your loved one. Make sure you call Miss Lynette. She'll take care of you. She's actually giving out a free vacation voucher once you give her a call. Mention 5 Reasons, 954-581-8800. We'll get to CPT a little bit later in the show. Let's get right down into it. The Miami Heat blew this shit out, right? We beat the Indiana Pacers, and it wasn't really just one person, although we had a lot of individual good performances tonight. I'm going to throw it to you guys. Ariel, what did you see from tonight's game?
Tremendous energy, tremendous effort. Like, the Heat came out and they're probably a little bit pissed off about that last game against the Pistons. And, man, like, everything was so on point. The ball movement, just early on the offense looked spectacular. Probably, I guess for the entire game, like there were almost no lulls offensively for the Heat in this game. Like when you shoot like that, and that really has to be the recipe for this team with the personnel that they've got out there. You're missing, your best players. You're missing some other key rotation guys. They really only give themselves a chance to win these games if they get crazy hot from three, and that's been the recipe over this stretch. These last 10 plus games where Bam and Jimmy have been out. They get hot from three, they win. They don't get hot from three, they lose. Love the way that Kyle Lowry kind of set the table, and he was just pushing pace, just trying to get them up and down the court every single time, especially early in the game. That's the kind of game plan you want when you're playing this Pacers team. They're one of the slowest teams in the NBA in terms of the pace that they play at. They are not a good three-point shooting team either. I believe they're a bottom 5 or 6 team in three-point shooting as well. So you want to play a high-tempo game where you get a lot of threes up. That's a bad matchup for them. And a lot of people have been talking about it. They didn't look like they wanted to be out there tonight. So tremendous game from the Heat. I think it's super commendable. We really should be talking more about the job that this team has done, being shorthanded. If you look at the roster, and I brought this up on the Pace and Spaces halftime show, you look at the roster that the Heat are running out there most nights, that's like a 20 or 25 win team on paper over the course of an entire season. And for them to be above 500 over this stretch without Bam and Jimmy is just, it speaks to the coaching. It speaks to the players, and man, they've done a fantastic job.
Yeah, man. Like you said, it's been a phenomenal what Coach Spo has been able to do with this crew. You give this crew to the Kings, right? They're the 14th or 15th seed.
They've got like 4 wins.
Is there a relegation? They got relegated to the G League.
Essentially. So I want to actually thank our boy Kai, Samurai Radio, for the $1.99 dono. He said, let Brian speak. Yes. Culture Minutes, 19 to 15 Dream.
No.
So let's get into it. Brian, what were your thoughts on tonight's phenomenal game?
The first thing I want to say is that's actually not how you spell my name. There is no Brian with an I on this show. It's actually literally right over here. Not the Y.
The bare minimum.
Just saying. Just going to put that out there. But no, Ariel summed it up perfectly. Like, the energy was insane. The ball movement, the player movement. The Pacers couldn't figure out the Heat zone. It took them into the second half to figure out that Sabonis is actually more effective in the middle of the zone rather than shooting threes. But you take those coaching mistakes. So I thought it was. I'm honestly amazed at the Heat's resilience. To lose so many key guys, and even after a loss to the Pistons, where a lot of teams might fold, they might say, "Hey, 7 of our best or half of our best players are out. We just lost to the Pistons. It's easy to fold against a team like the Pacers, but they didn't. They bounced back. Just really, really astounding effort. And these are the games where people kind of pump that culture propaganda. People have been saying that guys like PJ Tucker is the heart soul of the team, at least with Bam out. And even in his absence, we still saw that same hustle and grit from other guys. And like I said, it's an amazing win for a shorthanded team. And like you have mentioned, if this roster was given to any other coach, we'd probably be talking about, fighting for the first pick in the draft. So just a really, really inspiring game.
Yeah, I mean, to the point with the hustle, Marcus Garrett with 2.5 minutes left. We were up 26. He dove on the floor for the ball. Like, you don't have to do that. You're up 26 with 2.5 minutes left, and that's what he did. And, to your point of this team, keeping it on the gas, right? This looks like a team that was finally home after a long time. Like, they've been on the road for such a long time. I think it's the least amount of home games that any team has had. And they've played like they've been at home. They've played like they got some good rest. I mean, what did they score? 127 points?
120. Yeah, something like that. 124.
Shame on the Pacers, man.
Absurd.
Shame on the Pacers.
Absurd. So I want to get to some of these donos real quick. Kai is saying for 199. I appreciate you. Said, Ethan, give this all to Brian.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes.
He'll get like 2 cents of that.
Yeah.
Royal Shepherd, appreciate you, dono brother. The Heat won. I hate that. I'm so angry. Grr.
We love
Yeah,
Royal.
as you could tell, Royal was so upset at Tyler Herro going off tonight that he was not able to stomach coming on the show. So he's not here for night because of that. Appreciate you, M4A1 Heisman. I know the Heat were on cause because I stopped hating KZ. Yeah, I mean, even KZ had a phenomenal game. I feel like nobody had a bad game. Like, I couldn't isolate one guy that really had like a bad or negative effect on your game. Like, if you miss shots, you miss shots, right? But you don't negatively affect the game by missing shots all the time unless you're taking bad shots. So I felt like really nobody had a negative effect on this game. Gad, let's get to you, man. Any final thoughts on the game as a whole before we get down to individual performances?
This is just a game that you're just happy to see this bounce back, right? Like, that loss against Detroit, Heat Twitter was in a civil war for some odd reason, and now everyone's united. We're winning the fucking championship. It's that simple. But no, we're not going to overreact to this game, but it is nice to just see these bench guys step up over and over and over and over and over. Like, this is a stretch that we talked about it, but almost any team would be way under 500, and we're over 500 in this stretch without our key guys. Credit to all these guys, man. Credit to Yurt. I know we've been critical, but Jonathan, you set the tone a little bit. You're like, hey, this is development. Like, these reps, they mean something moving forward. So credit to you. You kind of almost called this. You're like, he's gonna start playing better. There's just little things that he's getting used to. So Yurt played great. KZ, it's not perfect every game, but like, are we willing to say that he's at least a playable regular season player at this point?
I think he's taking the step towards that. I'm not confident enough, and he hasn't strung enough games together yet to do, for me to confidently say, hey, this guy can step in as maybe a backup for consistently. But over these last like 3 or 4 games, he's done a lot of things that I've been pleasantly surprised with. I mean, tonight he was hitting the threes. He was doing a really good job defensively when it was on the zone. He was doing a good job sticking on the zone, sticking on the right person. KZ did. There was one time, I think it was Max Strus who was getting caught up on the baseline, and he cut in when nobody else was cutting, and he was able to get a layup, right? He's making small adjustments. Adam talked about how PJ Tucker could be the one that's helping accelerate his development a little bit more because, he doesn't pull back his punches when he's yelling at KZ. When they're playing on the floor together, you see this guy will audibly yell at him. So I think that's a big part of it as well. But I think he's taking those right steps, and I think if he continues to play with this roster and with no return of Morris in sight, we don't know when PJ is coming back. He's going to have that opportunity. I think we'll be able to learn with that how good he's going to be within the next couple weeks.
Interesting. One thing that I also wanted to get to, Kyle Lowry, man. And like, the stat sheet, obviously he filled it up. This is one of those games where you don't even need to look at the stat sheet. Like, just the way from the jump and throughout the entire game, up 30, whatever it may be, Kyle Lowry playing his ass off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was out rebounding Miles Turner, Sabonis, it doesn't matter, getting back for charges. Like, he did a little bit of everything. He had a hezzy in the lane, got to the rim, finished with the left. No, Kyle Lowry, like, we talked about it, but he's been so impressive. So impressive. We're so lucky to have him. He's doing a lot for this team. Man, I'm very happy with Kyle Lowry. And I mean, his main purpose was to make the best guys better, and he's doing a little bit of everything. And we really, really need that. He's setting the tone from a mentality perspective, especially on a night without PJ. Credit to Kyle Lowry, man. He's one hell of a player.
He is leading like literally what would be a bottom 3, bottom 1 maybe NBA roster over these last 10 games to wins. Like without him, man, I don't know. Like what are they, like 6-5 or something over the last 11 games, 6-4 over the last 10, something like that. Without him, they win 1 game, maybe 2. Like he's made a tremendous difference. He's putting guys in positions to be successful where if he's not out there setting the table, like, and say Gabe Vincent, who we love on this show, right, Gad? Like this is a pro Gabe Vincent.
Be careful what you say.
Post-game show. All right. Well, look, this is a pro Gabe Vincent post-game show for sure. But if he's out there and he's like the primary ball handler in these games, you don't have Kyle Lowry, you're probably not going to win a whole lot of them, man. So credit to him. I mean, I don't think this is what he signed up for, right? Like you didn't bring him in to drag the roster every single night and have to kind of just run everything. His usage rate is substantially higher than we would have expected it to be going into the season, but that's out of necessity. So I think he's definitely earned a good week or 2 off when the guys get back. But in the interim, what he's done for this team, it can't be discounted. He's been amazing for them.
I think you said it perfectly, right? He's putting guys in their position to be successful, right? When you're young and you don't know where to be, and you have somebody yelling at you, telling you, "Hey, cut over this way. Hey, cut in, right? Hey, what to do?" You have somebody on the court telling you where to be, when to be there, and then he'll find you the ball, right? He knows when to find you the ball, tell you to be aggressive, and will lead you to start doing better things, right? Omer Yurtseven doesn't have this development without Kyle Lowry. Right? He doesn't have this development without him because he's putting him in the position to be successful. And obviously, give Yurt a little bit of credit too, because some of those offensive rebounds were absolutely nasty. And we'll get to him a little bit later. But I think, like you said, the way you said it was perfect. He's putting people in the position to be successful. Brian, I'll let you close on Kyle Lowry because we all got to touch on him. Any final thoughts on him?
No, I'm one of the guys who kind of criticize what Kyle Lowry could potentially be. And I think one stat that does kind of typify the effort that he showed tonight is the fact that he out-rebounded every single person on the Pacers roster. He's probably the shortest guy, on both teams. Finish with? That's insane. Like, I mean, we know about
12.
What was that?
He had 12 rebounds. Gad asked how many rebounds.
That's
my gosh.
Yeah, for a team with Domantas Sabonis and Miles like that's insane.
For a team with a bunch of bums.
So I mean, like we know about the playmaking. We know, and Kyle Lowry didn't even score a lot tonight, but he still had a massive impact. He only scored 8 points, but his impact goes beyond that. And I just think that, like you guys mentioned, without Kyle Lowry, this team is not in a good spot.
Yeah, I feel like we'd be running around with our chicken, like a chicken with their head cut off, right? Everybody would just be like, "Oh, where do I go? When do I stop? What should I do?" We'd be frozen. I think with Kyle Lowry, he just puts everybody in their place, man. Let's get to the guy who returned after a couple games off, right? Tyler Herro came in, he returned, and he had a massive impact on this game. I mean, he got so hot, he took a heat check for a little bit deep, and he made it too. And Stan Van Gundy said on the broadcast that Tyler Herro should be in the conversation of All-Stars. Not that he's going to be an All-Star, right? Don't misconstrue what we're saying, but he's going to be in that conversation. He's a top 23 scorer coming off of the bench, and look what he's doing when he's healthy, right? And I want to give all the credit to Ariel because he said this 2 weeks ago. So I'll let you get it started on probably, like you said, a little bit longer on that. Yeah. But I'll let you get started on Tyler Herro, man. What did you see? What did you like? Give me everything on your thoughts about Tyler Herro.
I thought he looked like he hadn't played in a good week plus early in the game. It felt like he was rushing things a little bit and forcing the issue a little bit more than you want him to. He never, I mean, when he's out there trying to do a little too much, like the results are never good. Tyler's at his best when he kind of lets things come to him and he just kind of attacks, scramble situations and is decisive with what he wants to do. And I think that, in the second quarter, you really saw him start to get into the flow of the game. He made a couple of shots and then things opened up for him. I was impressed with his play overall, right? Like 26 points. And it's just the way that he's getting some of these buckets. Like, he had some juice getting downhill tonight, and that's something that the Heat really don't have when Jimmy and Bam are out of the lineup. So you need that from Tyler. It helps. I mean, other than actually, that's not accurate because Duncan Robinson had some downhill juice tonight too. But on the whole, like I thought Tyler played really well. He had a couple of tough ISO buckets just straight up ISO situations where you don't get a screen, you don't get anything. He had another one where he had a nasty pullback dribble on, I think it was Karis LeVert, sent that boy flying, and he just missed the step back three. But yeah, man, like, if the handle continues to improve and he's able to get more of these buckets in ISO situations, he hasn't been great in ISO situations this year. It opens up a lot for this team. It's something they don't really have outside of him and Jimmy below the 3-point line. So, Tyler looked good, man. It's awesome to have him back. You need that juice. You need that spark. You can't rely on Max Strus and Gabe Vincent every single night. They'll give it to you every other night or so. And right now it feels like the baseline for those guys is solid offensive production, but nothing that's going to necessarily win you a game. If you do get that from Max or Gabe, that's a plus. But of course, it's not something you want to rely on. Tyler Herro is one of the guys you rely on. So to have him back, to see him, get going like he did, it's huge for this team.
Yeah, man. And like you said, there was a couple of times tonight where he just did it on isolation. I feel like his lateral movement and his stop and go is just becoming a little bit better, a little bit cleaner. And the way he's able to transition that stop and go movement to his jump shot is becoming a little more smooth as well. So I do want to thank, actually I want to give this one to Gad over here. Gad, this is all you, bro.
So before we get to the dono, thank you, HM, for the $5 dono. No love for the Hero dunk tonight? None?
Oh, absolutely. That's coming.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I tweeted that out, man. Absolutely.
We have it. Like, we saw that one play in the preseason, right, where it's like, oh, Tyler Herro coming down the lane, slams it.
That was the Dwayne Wade move, though. That's the reject the screen, cross over to your left and just get downhill, and nobody wanted to step in front of him. He just banged
so him
like
getting to the rim was impressive. The dunk itself,
Nobody's talking about I don't care if he finishes with a dunk or a layup there. It's more the move.
That's what I'm saying.
The fact that he dunked the ball,
I saw some people hyping up the dunk, and I was
well, we know that a 6'5" NBA player can probably dunk the basketball.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Hey, I'm just saying, it was really cool to see that. That I feel like is kind of, obviously we're playing well at the time, but that really got the crowd into it, right? Like, I feel like just what Herro does on the home floor, I don't know how to explain it. There's just this electricity that he feels with the arena. Whenever he plays well, they're going crazy at FTX. So, love Tyler Herro. Thank you, HM, for the dono. If you told me opening night that Strus, Duncan, Herro, KZ, and Gabe would combine for 99 points in a game, I'd have bet my life savings against it. What a crazy game.
Yeah.
Everybody played well. Like, this was honestly a perfect culmination of everything that we wanted to see.
I'm bringing my phone to Boston, and we are going to test that out.
I want to see Adam slam it. That would be insane. But yeah, no, like, this was such a fun game, man. Such a fun game. We needed this after things got a little dicey after Sunday.
I don't think so. I don't really feel that. I mean, like, you want to win every game for sure, but like, I think if you want to be, reasonable about how you look at these outcomes, I mean, this team has no business winning any of these games. We were talking before the show that going into every single one of these games, when you don't have Bam, you don't have Jimmy, now you don't have PJ, you don't have Caleb Martin, you don't have a bunch of guys, Markieff Morris, you don't go into any of these games feeling like, oh, they should win this game. It's at best, in my opinion, it's at best, you're 50-50 to win tonight, at best. And most of these games, the Heat are an underdog heading into it. So
your guts.
Hey, man, listen, I'm just being honest. I am telling you what the odds reflect. Odds makers know what they're doing. They're usually closer to right than they are to wrong.
The Heat are winning the championship.
What are the odds on that?
Don't need them. Don't care. Those are the odds.
All right. Life savings on it.
Life savings on it.
Yeah.
But Gad, I think you closed it up on Tyler Herro, man. Phenomenal game from him overall. I mean, just looking at the numbers, 26 points, 8 of 17 from the field, so he was efficient. 5 of 8 from deep, and he was able to get to the line 3 times. He had 6 shots, 5 of 6 from there as well. Pretty complete game overall offensively. He did it as a 3-level scorer, right? He wasn't just doing it at one spot. And this is a Pacers team that's really lengthy, and I really didn't expect for him to have as good of a game that he did as he did, because we know he struggles against length, right? Indiana is one of the best shot blocking teams. I actually think they're number 1 in the league.
It's because of Turner. Sabonis sucks.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. They have good shot blocking at the rim, and Herro was able to do his thing, man. And shout out to him to do that. So I do want to bring Ricky in because he's been chilling in the back for a little bit.
Let's go.
So we'll bring Ricky in here.
Oh my God, coming live.
What is this? What is this setup?
I'm pretty sure it's a green screen.
Good evening, gentlemen.
The fourth wall.
Good evening, Ricky.
I'm
Good
pretty
evening,
sure
my
it's a
friend.
green screen. Like guys can't.
That's not what I said,
Guys
Adam.
can't have a home in the.
Are
Are you
like
a
a cabin in
Slytherin
the
or
woods.
Gryffindor?
Who, me?
I'm just saying that. Look, where are you in the towers right now?
Slytherin or Gryffindor? That's a good question. I'm in the one school. I'm in the one witchcraft and wizardry school in Africa that J.K. Rowling only seemed to think existed up until like the final book. That wasn't even mentioned at all because apparently black folk don't know magic.
Makes you think.
Oh no, she problematic. I mean, she was telling you that from book one. But we're talking about Harry Potter tonight. Nice. Okay. All right.
So speaking of Harry Potter, let's talk about a guy who was pretty magical from deep. Let's get to Duncan Robinson, and he was actually pretty good. I felt like he had a pretty good game, and we're gonna get to our resident Duncan Robinson stan. We're gonna give it over to Brian. So Brian,
I thought it
what
was
did
gonna
you
be
see
me.
from your boy Duncan Robinson?
Am I the Duncan Robinson stan? I guess I am. Yeah.
You're the supporter.
Yeah. No, I
we all
do rock
support
with my
him.
guy Duncan sometimes when it's convenient. And tonight's convenient because not only did the shooting come back, but he actually showed like rim pressure, which was crazy. Like I didn't know that he could get to the rim as consistently and finish as well as he did tonight. And I don't know if this is like a blip. This is just happened to be, a product of the Pacers playing poorly or Duncan Robinson actually having that skill. Because if he has it, like I think that it's something that he should incorporate into his game more. If the 3-point shot isn't falling for you, then attack the rim. Why not? The problem is this game Duncan was fantastic. Like I'm not taking anything away from him tonight. Is that we've seen Duncan have really good games before. We know that when his offense is going, he does other things on the court. It's just when it's not, what does he look like? I mean, tonight, good Duncan all around. Fantastic. So I just want to see him have an all-around good game when he's not 6 of 10 from deep.
No, you're right, man. I think this was a game where like you saw it, right? He did it on all three levels. So I want to thank this Dono because it was perfectly timed. As soon as we get to the Duncan conversation, he even doubled it up this time. So we appreciate you. Thank you to the unidentified celebrity review for the $10 Dono. Tonight we saw a bum wearing lipstick. Duncan is still a bum.
Consistency, man.
The consistency.
That's what wins championships.
The consistency has been great. Greg's tweeting in, appreciate you. Royal's been subtweeting me directly at my soul and shit. My bad, OG. Everyone was shooting at me. I was spraying LOL. It's all love coming from Royal. Having a conversation down in the chat. Make sure you guys talk about it. If you guys have any thoughts on the game, make sure you join the conversation as well. We got 330 people in here. Make sure you like the video. It helps us out a lot, and it's free, so I appreciate that as well. But let's get to you, Ricky, man. What did you see from Duncan Robinson tonight?
I saw a flash in the pan, and I have no reason to believe otherwise until he really puts it together. I feel like was it Gad? Was it Gad? You and I? Was it us two that were going back and forth over Duncan a couple weeks ago? Maybe that was somebody else.
No,
probably
I'm with you on Duncan wholeheartedly.
Yeah, because like the thing is, I'm glad he had a great game tonight, and it was a performance like that contributed mightily to them blowing out a team that I said would beat Miami tonight. But okay, you're beating a disheveled, disorganized, emotionally distant Indiana Pacers team, and you're performing well. You did your job. You did what you were supposed to do. Is Duncan expected to hit 8 from 10 from deep every night? No, because that would make him an 80% free 3-point shooter, and no one's done that. I mean, Steph's one of the greatest of all time. Thank you. I appreciate you. See, I did some studying during the game to make up for
MS, baby.
Gaff. But yeah, like, look, he's got to do more for me. I've seen too many Duncan Robinson performances or lack thereof this season to where it's like, yeah, we needed this game. I'd like to see these kind of performances more consistently against the class of the league. I want to see it against Utah. I want to see it against Milwaukee. I want to see it against Denver. I want to see it against even LA. I mean,
he had 22 points last time they played Utah.
Okay, that's nice. Keep it going.
Why? Felt comfortable in their arena.
Well, yeah, there you go. So, I mean, honestly, like at this point, tonight was a great performance, but it doesn't represent how his season has been. Anybody watching tonight that maybe doesn't watch Heat games, hopefully they work in the front office of another team and has horrible scouting and think that Duncan's been doing this all season because they haven't. He hasn't. And I mean, I want this to keep going because, like, I know, Ramakan, you were there with me in pregame. At this point, if he can continue to do this, it makes everybody else's job easier. I mean, look how it opens the floor. It has people freaking out. If anything, chasing Duncan off the three-point line allows him to attack the basket, which is weird. And if he does that and they crash to him, that means that Strus and Gabe, who are themselves hot, come on, man, yes, are the ones, they're the ones
like
roaming outside on the perimeter, and there you go. That's more threes. So I don't know, just keep doing better. Otherwise, what's the countdown, Gad?
I don't have my phone on me right now, but
Whatever-
I want to say like 25.
Whatever
Yeah.
January 15 is.
All right.
Yeah,
So
so
Gotcha.
9, 24, 25, yeah.
But to your point, like I think you're absolutely right. We haven't seen Duncan really make big shots when it's super important, right? When the energy is shifting in a game and needs to take a big three. Well, Greg Sylvander with a nice tweet or comment. Heat 7-3 when Tyler leads the team in scorer. Hand the kid the keys,
Interesting.
and he did it on good efficiency today. But when it comes to Duncan, like I said, I don't feel like we've seen him do it in the big spots just yet, right? He's doing it kind of when everybody else is in rhythm too. But his numbers have been getting back to normal as of late, right?
Mhm.
So for him to have a game like this is kind of overdue a little bit, right? Because all you just wanted him to do now was be more aggressive and hunt those shots, right? He was kind of getting back to shooting that better percentage, but he wasn't hunting the same amount of shots. And I actually said in the pregame, we just want to, instead of having him just run around thinking the defender will shut him off, just rise up and shoot over them. And we saw multiple times tonight, at times where he would defer the shot and just try to move it, he just rose up and took the shot, and he didn't think about it. And when he's not thinking about it, we see what can happen. And this is exactly what happened tonight. Okay, with a great comment. Love the energy from the injured guys tonight. That was solving the game, especially Vic. Everybody on the bench was on their feet almost the entire time. So
their masks off.
It just shows how tight this team is, right? And last year, the team seemed a little emotionally exhausted after the bubble. It seems like the team has kind of rekindled that connection, everybody wanting to play for each other and not really playing, for themselves. And I liked what I saw from them there. Gad or Ariel, do you have any final thoughts on Duncan before we get to Yurt? Because Greg wants us to talk about that boy.
I mean, like Ricky said, look, he has a great game tonight. He hasn't had enough of them this season, but I feel like, it's interesting that I'm not comfortable saying he's all the way back, right? I think we need substantially more from him. But in these games where you haven't had Bam or Jimmy and multiple other players missing, he's had a few games where he's kind of started to pop. It's like every 4 or 5 games he starts to pop, right? He had a 21-point game 6 days ago. He had a 26-point game a couple days before that. Like, he's starting to pop here and there. So it's been a really good time for him to start, kind of progressing back to the mean. We've seen the sample size. We've got 2+ seasons of him being an elite shooter. So I think, I don't know if this is one of those seasons where he's going to end up at 40+%. He'd have to shoot a fantastic percentage over the remainder of the season to get to that point.
It's not too crazy.
He's got to shoot what's he at right now? Like 35-ish, give or take?
Probably like 34.5 or whatever.
And then if you add whatever he goes 8 of 10 tonight, whatever it is, it's going to go up a little bit.
I think he needs to shoot like 43% on the rest of the season, which
Right.
like for Duncan, obviously he's not doing it now, but it's not the craziest thing in the world.
We could
You
see
get paid
positive
to do
regression,
that.
right? We really could see positive regression. Appreciate you, 12-1
You always
AR
expect that, yeah.
for the 499 dono. Duncan's kid is expanding. The Heat's team and staff has got the utmost confidence in his ability. He ain't getting traded.
You don't know
If you
Pat
know-
Riley.
Yeah, I don't know.
The last part of that sentence, I
The first part is true.
proceed with caution. I like. It's funny that he didn't say, or they didn't say bag. They said kit, right? Because it's like a smaller, more compact setup.
It's like a little tool kit.
Yeah, like a little toolbox.
It's like this big.
A little more
we got my
portable.
wrenches in here. Da-da-da-da. Yeah, no, it's not a bag. It's not a bag.
No.
So let's get
But
to
hey, I'm happy we're
guys.
seeing some of it, right? We've been waiting a long time to see some of this. 2 pull-up mid-range today.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if he hits a
And the
3,
max
it's not like
shoot
I'm,
level.
oh, man, he hit it. No, that'd be
And
ridiculous.
actually, there was a point that Ricky made that I wanted to jump on right there where when, Duncan starts making his threes, defenders overplay him. Now he's able to start getting downhill a little bit. He is low-key a very good finisher around the basket, but also
Except
he's
for in
able
LA.
he's able to find shooters, and it's not going to reflect in his assist numbers, right? He's not going to have enough drives to where he actually decides to kick it to the corner and the shooter makes a three, to where you're going to see that like his assist numbers are rising because of that. But he has that in his game as well. Like he knows when to make the right pass when the defense converges on him, and if not, he'll finish at the rim. So it's a nice little element to add to his game. If the shooting catches up with what we expect it to be or where we want it to be, it opens up a lot. It opens up a ton.
Someone that's going to fit so nice next to Victor Oladipo,
or or next to never mind.
Give me in the bench mob.
Jackson Hayes, maybe.
Right. So
one
play
another player that starts with a J.
There was
Jackson
one
Hayes.
play where he ran just right down the middle, and he went like a little up and under. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that was so beautiful. But
yeah, he's got a nice little array of, he's got like the second layup package in NBA 2K, like not the baseline one.
generic 2 kit.
Yeah, he's got like it's not basic.
So let's get to Omer, because he pretty much outplayed everybody in the front court of Indiana. Gad, you're a resident culture guy. You talk about our culture, and this guy kind of reflects what's been going on all season with some of these players, right? This guy came in, and you saw day one, he was not ready. Like, he just really didn't look like he belonged out there. Tonight, he looked like he belonged out there, at least a little bit, right? 13 rebounds, I think 8 points, 2 blocks, 2 rebounds, or 2 blocks and 2 steals, 6 offensive rebounds. And these weren't just offensive rebounds where you had inside position. He was fighting for these boards. Yep. And I think that was a big, plus to see. We have a guy that can just go up and get boards, right? And he's super young as well. Another guy that the Heat is putting in their pipeline to develop that we can see dividends paying off 2 or 3 years from now. Gad, what did you see from Omer tonight?
Obviously, I think offensively, we saw a little bit more touch, ability to get to the free throw line and whatnot. But the thing that really impressed me was defensively. Like, coming into the year, that was the kind of the question mark with Yurt, is like, can he become an NBA level defender? Because there is touch, there is ability to rebound. He knows how to be a large human being, but does he understand his athleticism enough to be able to execute like drop coverage or 2-3 zone per se? Tonight, he dominated the paint, which is not something that I would expect to see. I don't like Sabonis that much as a player relative to his value around the league, whatever. But if there's one thing that man can do, it is score in the paint. And Yurt was having none of it from Sabonis tonight. So credit to Yurt for doing that. He's understanding how to play his angles a little bit better, playing that drop, playing that 2-3. It's been fun to watch. And I mean, Jonathan, I gave you credit for it earlier, but like you alluded to it, like he needs the reps. He's the type of player that it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in one game. So baby steps, nothing too crazy. I don't think there's going to be a Yurt in the rotation per se. He can be like the 12th, 13th, 14th man, whatever. But just to have those playable moments like tonight, big stuff from Yurt. Like, I was really happy with the way he played. This is his second time outplaying Sabonis. And he also outplayed Turner. That's not easy.
He's continued to do it. And Brady actually tweeted this out, that one of the biggest thing that's Yurt allowed us to do, or the Heat to do, is rest I'm blanking on his name. Dedmon, right? Rest Dedmon a little bit more, not have to overplay him too much, right? So that since Yurt's able to at least have playable minutes, he's not out there being a negative every single play. Now you have that trust, he can stay on there a little bit longer. Ariel, what did you see from Yurt tonight?
A lot of what Gad said, basically. I just think, I don't know what it is about the Pacers, man, but like the first time he was inserted this season to where, he kind of popped in a game was in that Pacers game, I believe in Indiana a few weeks back. And then tonight again, like that alley-oop finish where he should have got an and one where he just killed Sabonis. I mean, I don't know what he has against Domantas Sabonis, but I think he hates that dude. Yeah, man, like you guys have been saying, more reps. I was not a Yurtseven believer from day one. Not that I don't think that he could have eventually, become a serviceable or good NBA player, but just more so like he's not ready to go. Like, I don't want him on the court because he's not ready to go. This is not a developmental season for this team. They're trying to win a championship, but he's had to play minutes out of necessity, right? And definitely there's been substantial strides in a lot of areas. He still lacks in certain areas, like the foot speed is definitely not there. Sometimes the spatial awareness is not what you want it to be, but he's a big body. He grabs rebounds. He's got some touch. He can block some shots as a weak side defender sometimes, in man-to-man situations. And so he's giving the Heat what they need as a backup right now. Like, really, you put him out there and you feel all right with it. You feel all right with those minutes. I don't feel like, man, Yurtseven's and they're going to get killed in whatever defensive coverage they're in. So that's been a huge development for this team. Like, if you had told me that Yurtseven was going to give them solid, serviceable NBA minutes this season, I would have thought that the season probably went really wrong. But that's not been the case. They've stayed above water, shorthanded, and he's been a solid contributor over this stretch. So it's been really, nothing but positive signs for him going forward. I'm really impressed with the strides that he's made over the course of this still kind of short season.
And it was very much needed tonight, right? When you don't have PJ Tucker and you already don't have Bam Adebayo, you don't have Morris, you're pretty short-handed in that front court. So it was really, really needed for him to step up tonight. So I liked what I saw from him. I think he's going to continue to grow moving forward. He's going to have the opportunity to continue to grow moving forward. But there's one person that's kind of been stagnant for a couple years, and it seems like he's finally starting to get some gears going. One owner of the resident KZ coin. We have our boy, Mr. Ricky J. Mark. Talk about KZ, man. What did you see from KZ tonight? Are you selling high? Are you keeping it? Are you hodling? What you doing with KZ coin?
Well, first things first, hashtag let Brian speak. But that's a whole nother story altogether because you stole me $10 from that bet earlier in the summer. Secondly, no, I'm not selling right now because the sky's the limit for this guy. He does act like, he does play a lot of times like he doesn't know the game, or he hit the instincts that naturally come to players with like a natural feel for the game haven't yet arrived yet. He's still pretty raw. I think they're still working out development for him. But look, 16 points, 2 threes, 7 field goals, 3 rebounds. Look, I think I'm happy to see that kind of performance, but also to the point with regards to Yurtseven. This happened against a confused, decimated,
trash,
just
garbage,
broken Pacers team right now. I'm happy that he scored 16 points tonight, but I also have to understand that this happened against a kind of competition that's like maybe those numbers were inflated a little bit because the Pacers definitely weren't themselves. This wasn't the same Pacers team that beat pretty much full-strength Miami, missing only one player, and that was Kyle Lowry, who they didn't have last season, second game of the season. This is not the same team. They have come a long way from that, and they're going through it right now. That said, I'm happy to see that KZ has been able to slowly but surely build on his performance against Milwaukee I think it was a few weeks ago by now. And I think that served as a turning point for him that I think the more he continues to play within himself, learn the game, appreciate the fact that, this is a gift and not a privilege, then, hey, you know what it is? At the end of the day, just like Michelle, was it Tucker or Turner? Who was that? Miss Tucker, thank you. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm holding because there are a couple more spikes that are coming. I'm not going to sell at 10. I feel sorry for the Bitcoin holders that sold at 10,000. KZ's at 4,000 right now.
Oh,
he's gonna hit 60.
Lower.
Nah, son.
I'll
be trolling you. I'll be trolling you from my yacht when he does.
That's a lot of capital. $4,000.
Oh, it's there. It's there. Matter of fact, here I'll even do this. Not only am I going to troll at you from my yacht, I'll let Brian film it for you.
I look forward to the opportunity. I hope you're right.
Oh yeah.
I have a question.
Let Brian speak.
I have a question. Sorry. I think, obviously this isn't going to be a consistent thing from KZ, but just the fact that we have moments where he's a positive in an NBA basketball game, I don't care who the competition is, because you saw him fade into oblivion again in the G League, or not in the G League, in Summer League.
That too.
So just seeing him become playable, credit to Spo, credit to PJ Tucker, credit to KZ himself, whoever it is that's putting in all the work and making it happen with him.
I think it's PJ.
Most likely, right? Because it looks like he's been picking PJ's brain and PJ's trying to teach him some things. But credit to KZ, man. He's had a stretch of being playable. I know no one is happier than the two majority stock owners and Brian and Ricky. So happy for you guys. I'm happy for KZ. If we can get playable minutes, very happy.
Ironic that the two majority stockholders are minorities, but I digress. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well,
Mr.
thank you,
I
Voodoo
think
Vision.
everybody has minorities.
I am one as well, also.
Yeah.
But thank you, Voodoo Vision, for the $4.99 dono. One thing you guys haven't done
Levels.
is give Spo his flowers. Same level. Come on now.
That's a great.
No.
That's a great dono. That's a
Globally?
fantastic dono.
Globally?
Let's get away from this conversation. That is a fantastic dono, Voodoo
Spo his
Vision.
flowers.
PJ and Bam.
Let's give Spo his flowers.
Coach of the
let's give
year.
Spo his flowers. Brian, I'll let you go ahead with this one, man.
I
Talk
ain't gonna
about what
say
Spo's
anything
not
about-
doing just this game, but overall in this stretch without all of our star players.
Yeah. First, I want to say that I trust KZ entirely to do like 2.5 things, like dunk the basketball and play good defense sometimes.
It's important.
So I just wanted to, that's my guy. The shooting is totally not real, by the way. 2 of 3 is probably going to be his career high for the next 5 years. But I do think it's important to say that for all the crap that KZ gets, he's also played super sporadically. And for some guys, it's just hard to develop when you're getting spot minutes. And you came in as a really raw prospect to begin with. So when you don't build consistency in game or just in terms of minutes, it's hard to build consistency on the court. And he's really lucky to have a guy like PJ Tucker that's going to be in his ear every single time they're on the court. Every single mistake, he's going to know about it, because I think he needs that. I think that for a guy who just hasn't played really enough to be, considered a valuable NBA rotation player, it's really good to have that mentorship. As far as Spo goes, yeah, of course we have to give him his flowers. We've mentioned it. On this exact stream, we said that without him, this would be a lottery team. Yeah. Going from putting more emphasis on ball movement with guys like Jimmy and PJ and Bam out. God, that's so much of the team that's gone. When I say it, I'm like, my God,
it's your whole front court. It's your starting front court.
Yeah. But making it work, and not only that, but inspiring guys like Strus and Gabe Vincent and Duncan Robinson to explore the games and be more than what they were initially brought in here to be. Fire
What the hell, man?
Of course.
JP, time out.
I mean, it's definitely Spo's fault that we have not won every single game this season. Can't convince me otherwise. But no, I mean, Spo deserves so much of the credit for this team being where it's at. 4th seed in the East with all the injuries that they face. Like, come on, that's our guy.
Yeah, man. You can't ask for a better leader than Coach Spo, right? He loves JP continuing to overreact like we should overreact. He should, since we lost to the Pistons, obviously Coach Spo is one of the worst coaches in the league. But
season's over.
Season's over. We lost to the Pistons. We should have just hung it up and started tanking. But
it would have been worse if we lost to Sabonis.
But overall, what he's able to do with this team, not just when one thing goes wrong, but things continue to go wrong. And we see across the league, other coaches, elite coaches with elite players, have a harder time struggling to adapt to smaller changes than what Coach Spo is having to adapt to. So I think, like everybody's saying, a lot of people are saying in the comments, Coach Spo is definitely Coach of the Year. I think he's just handled this incredibly. The teams that we've been able to beat, right? Chicago, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, right? Now Indiana, and now this was without Caleb Martin, who was going off against Chicago and Milwaukee. We're like, okay, Caleb Martin is going to step up. We lost Caleb Martin. Who's going to be the next guy? Okay, Max Strus and Gabe Vincent stepped up. We lost Herro. Who's going to be those guys? Herro came back. Now he's that guy. We have guys just continue to step up. And I think that's what the best part about this team is, because we don't know where it's going to come from every night, but we know most nights it's going to come from somebody, right? So I think it's just great overall. Gato Ariel, any final thoughts on Coach Spo?
Best coach in the NBA. That's it. Go ahead, Gad.
I think this is one of the few years I feel like he has a legit shot to win Coach of the Year. Obviously, it depends on our record, but
they won't get it.
They got to be like a top 5 team in the NBA.
Yeah, so
I wanted to say they won 66 games and he still didn't get it.
But that's a little different, Ricky, because I think you're a little, the expectations are different when you've got LeBron in his prime, you've got D Wade, you've got Chris Bosh. This team,
7 straight games though.
I hear you, but I'm saying if this team
twice.
Ricky, if this team wins 66 games, which is obviously not happening, but if this team were to win 66 games, he would be undoubtedly like he would get it. There would be no debate. So I think it's a little bit different. The expectations factor into it a lot. And I think they'd have to be a top 5 team for him to have a real shot to get it, I think.
He deserves it. I
agree with you.
I just know.
I agree with Ricky.
They would probably give it to Steve Kerr because it's the sexier pick. And nothing against Steve Kerr. Great coach. He knows how to take talent and relate to them and all that, but there for some reason you hear the pundits talk about how Spo's such a great coach, and yet the man took a big 3 team to 4 straight finals and still didn't even get a whiff. I mean, the coaches recognize him as great, but for some reason the press has, ironically enough, this weird anti-Spo bias. I don't know
It's
why.
an anti-Miami bias. I agree with you, though. It's an anti. Unless you've got LeBron on your team, it's always been an anti-Miami bias. Always.
Spo never folds. Like, Coach of the Year goes to who overperformed on the expectations before the season. It's like who the media thought was going to be a team that wasn't that great, and
2017.
And then they'll
remember that run?
be an underwhelming.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, but a team
give it to someone that finished outside of the playoffs.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's just the reality situation. I think I want to say Monty Williams should deserve a chance, but they were in the finals last year. I don't think he'll have that much of a chance.
I think Steph finished second in the MVP vote, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me if I'm wrong. It was second or third. His team lost the play-in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If it's a sexy pick, they will give it to us. Same reason they gave Russ the MVP a couple of years back because of the triple-double. It was the sexy pick.
It's all narrative driven. That's the same reason. It's the same reason
I throw another coach in there that I think might actually have a chance.
Hold up. This is the
Jerry
same reason.
Sloan never got the award.
This is the same reason I talked about Tyler Herro being in the conversation to be an all-star, is because all of these things are narrative driven. And frankly, the Heat generally don't get any respect in the media. When they made that run in the bubble to the finals, I remember we were on Twitter freaking out about how all the promos were Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and LeBron and those guys.
Jason
It was
Tatum
every
has a cute
team,
son.
for sure, but it was every team other than the Heat. And they were the team that was up 3-2. They were up 2-1. Like they were up 3-1 in that series. You don't see any Heat in those finals promos. So it's just always been that way. It's a bunch of bullshit. And frankly, unless the Heat finish top 5 in the NBA, Spo's not going to get it. It's just what it is.
That's possible, though.
But we don't have to. Originally, the title doesn't matter. We know we have the best coach in the year, and that gives us an advantage, especially come playoff time, right? When teams have to make adjustments against each other, it's going to be Coach Spo always out coaching the other team. And once we have all of our talent back, this is going to be a scary team. Like, everybody is starting to look playable now. And now we're going to have to make some decisions of who's going to play, when are they going to play, right? Is it going to be situational? Are we going to see different guys for different series, right? You need a guy for shooting one series. You need a guy for perimeter defending. Maybe you sub in Max Strus or Caleb Martin for those series, respectively. So we don't know how it'll work, but we do have a lot of different playable guys. Brian, I'll get to you this. Do you have any, we had a couple more good guys play for us. We had Max Strus show out a little bit. Do you want to close out on the individual performances with your thoughts on Max Strus?
Yeah, man, Max Strus has been fantastic as of late. I think I don't remember if I gave this take on the last show, but he's essentially been what we've kind of expected from Duncan. I mean, maybe a little bit less, but man, that guy has been great. The Heat are very he's on a 3-year deal, right? That's his contract. 2-year. Okay.
Max 2 years, yeah.
2 years. Okay. Well, still, the Heat are very, very lucky to have him at that number, man. Like, he is an incredibly valuable player for them. He's been an incredibly valuable player for them. So shout out to him.
And a shrewd move by the Heat's front office, locking both those guys into 2-year deals so that they have their bird rights when their contracts come up.
Bing bong. This office is insane. They don't miss. They don't.
Yeah, they've been shooting. I mean, they've been shooting like 100%. Like these last 2-3 years, they have been.
Last free agency was a little, we signed Mo Harkless to run it back.
Okay, fair point. I'm talking development.
Right, but you signed them on like a minimum contract or near minimum, if I remember correctly.
It was like a chunk of the mid-level.
It was like around biannual money.
He was one of the worst contracts in the NBA when he played for us.
All right, but it doesn't affect you being able to do anything going forward. It's just like they missed on their other targets that summer, which is where, we get the little bit of pushback on them shooting 100% over the last few years. But
it's more like
I was talking about the development of their players. I agree with you. You know what I mean? The development of their players over the last 2-3 years has been insane. Like Duncan Robinson.
Look at
Tyler
UD.
Herro turned into a top 3 talent in this draft. Bam
Adebayo was a ball of clay. He was an athletic ball of clay when he came
UD
into the
hit
NBA.
a 3 today. Like they just don't they don't miss. It's unreal.
Kyle Lowry is never played at this level before. Like what they've done this season. PJ Tucker is peaking.
You're saying this from Canada.
PJ Tucker is peaking. He's got man. These guys have a long career ahead of them.
All right,
What?
talk about UD, man. What did you see from UD tonight? We got to show some love to UD.
Truthfully, that's the last 5 minutes of the game where I kind of tuned out a little bit, but I know he hit a 3. I heard it in the background. I was pumped about that. Otherwise, I don't want UD playing any minutes. I love UD. I don't care. Give him a roster spot as long as he wants, but don't put him in the game, man. He looks upset every time he has to check in. Like, just let that dude chill and be a player coach and sit at the end of the bench and scream at KZ, but don't get in the game.
No, you're right. I actually, when he went in, I actually tweeted that. I said he looked visibly upset. He was like,
oh yeah,
he's like the old man that's like,
shit,
man, I gotta go to work today. Like I didn't expect to go to work today.
He didn't wear his shorts under his pants, man.
Easiest job in the league.
But phenomenal game overall, right? The Heat did a good job against a lengthy team without, with a solid front court, right? With talk shit about Indiana how much you want. As individual talents, Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis are decent
overrated.
Players, right? Overrated, but they're decent players. And
Let's go.
Stop that. No, it isn't.
That's a real
so
tweet.
crazy.
I need to retweet that right
he
now.
Tweeted it.
He just tweeted that?
No, that was
I knew he hated that dude.
Yeah, I can see
no,
That's
he tweeted it from November. It's a real tweet.
Can somebody? I need that screenshot right now.
Someone send that tweet to me.
Yeah, please.
No, he deleted it.
Yeah, but somebody has a picture of this. Send it to me.
Brian was actually the one that said.
Why does the font look like it's different than the rest of the font in the app?
Huh?
Oh, I see.
The font looks different. It's a different shade of.
You can screenshot from a browser.
It's a different shade of white. I know my whites.
You can inspect element anything on Twitter. But the tweet might not be real, but the principle still stands.
It's not the actual tweet. It's what's going through his head.
Yes, every time.
He was thinking that every possession.
Every single time he was thinking about that.
Hold on, but did he really tweet that?
No,
he did not.
Damn it.
It was November 13th.
I have the perfect tweet to add that to. Damn it.
Greg coming in. Has Yurtseven surpassed Julius Randle in the NBA hierarchy? You might call him absolutely.
I mean, Yurtseven is closer to Chris Bosh than Julius Randle.
Has Julius Randle ever been as good as peak Omer Yurtseven? The answer is no.
Not.
Here we go.
He's never been on a team that's been this competitive and actually vying for a championship. So, let's close out this game, man. Actually, phenomenal game. Like I said, against with a thin front court, I was really worried coming without PJ. But Omer came in. He was able to do good. I think KZ had one of his best games of his career. In all honesty, right? I felt like he just did really good. And we were able to fill it in, and we were able to get it done, man. So, anybody else got any final thoughts on this game before we move on to the next one?
Shout out Marcus Garrett. He's a good defender still.
Yeah.
He stays attached on screens. It's actually still very impressive at the NBA level. Very not super meaningful minutes, but happy with the way that he's looked so far. For a two-way, that's cool. Credit to Marcus Garrett.
Yeah, man. Anybody else? All right. So we got the Pistons coming in Thursday, 7:30. That's gonna be a revenge game. Yep. I don't know if we're getting Jimmy Butler back, but maybe. Who knows, right? He might be coming in sometime soon, but if the team keeps balling, we might not need him right now. Might just let him sit out for a little bit longer, see how it goes, right? But do you guys know when Caleb Martin is coming back from the protocols?
I feel like he should be back soon.
I think he has to register, 2 or 3 consecutive negative tests. But I think he's been in the protocols for close to 2 weeks now, something like that. So it should, you would hope and expect that.
We're gonna get.
I think a bunch of these dudes are kind of close.
So we're in the ballpark of getting some of these players back.
Yeah.
Like our boy Manny out here came in, audible, started producing. So I appreciate you, Manny. Heat versus the Detroit Pistons preview. I'll start with Brian. Brian, the boy feeling good?
The boy feeling great. We're gonna blow that shit out.
Let's go.
Of course, they got to. Hero's back. I probably wouldn't play Jimmy. I'm not an NBA coach. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but I probably wouldn't play Jimmy. I'd probably wait until the Magic game. Just give him an extra day of rest. Make sure he's completely healthy. It's just you don't want him to re-injure that tailbone versus the Pistons. The game that you probably are going to win without him.
They shouldn't need him to beat the Pistons.
They shouldn't, but
I mean,
I think they'll be fine. They'll be all right. They don't need him to win that game. Just let him have the extra night. Yeah, I'm total confidence it's gonna be a blowout.
Awesome, man. Actually, it's not Manny out here. It's actually Royal back there producing. So I didn't know that. But Royal's out here producing, so I appreciate you, Royal. He said I'm a disrespectful bitch, so I'm sorry for being a disrespectful bitch, Royal. I'll say that for you. Ricky, the boy feeling good?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I am feeling as good as I felt a couple of weeks back when I taped my second episode of season 2 of RJM Radio with none other than the First Lady of 5 Reasons Sports, Alana Tahauer. Go check that out right now. Available on Spotify, Pocket Cast, Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and everywhere you find your podcast. It was a long and wonderful conversation, and I think you guys will learn something about the First Lady of 5 Reasons Sports that you didn't previously know. Cheap plug aside, there's no reason why this Heat team shouldn't beat the Pistons, even as currently constructed. I didn't watch that game. I'm shocked to hear that they even lost. That was weird. Okay, why? But then again, the Pistons are a scrappy young team that gave the Lakers a run for their money a couple of weeks back after LeBron got kicked out for that elbow he drew. The Lakers suck, but
they do.
It is what it is.
It sure is.
But yeah, at this point,
That's
look,
what
Miami needs to go in, keep doing what they're doing. If they can somehow trap what they did tonight into a bottle and unleash it on the Pistons, then they should win against the Pistons. I'm hopeful that happens, but it wouldn't shock me either if the Pistons were to upset the Heat again, because as we've seen earlier this season, teams like the Pistons, the Cavs.
The Cavs are good.
But
Lakers.
There's like this unspoken custom within Heat culture, Heat Twitter, that the Cavs are supposed to be trash regardless. The only reason I think that is because of their owner, but that's a whole nother conversation and a whole nother show, podcast, whatever.
For sure.
But yeah, look, Heat should win. I expect them to, even with the players that they have. I'm looking forward to seeing if the Heat are able to blow it out, so to speak. If we can see some of Cheatham, I think that's the new guy that we signed.
Cheatham.
Cheatham.
Cheatham. Yeah.
Cheatham.
I think it's Cheatham, but it might be. Yeah.
No, we don't cheat. But yeah, like I look forward to seeing that happen. Hopefully that it works out.
Awesome, man. Ariel, the boy feeling good?
The boy's feeling good. The Heat are going to blow that shit out, like Brian said. Like our man Royal always says, I think. You're at home. They talk. Max Strus, I believe it was, talked about how good it feels to, how it feels like they haven't been at home all season. And like Jonathan mentioned earlier, they played the fewest. They're tied for the fewest home games played in the season in the NBA this season. Up until tonight, they had played 12 of their first 31 games at home. So this 4-game homestand against a bunch of teams that you probably should beat. I mean, if you're healthy, you definitely should beat all of those teams. You got Tyler Herro back. If you start to get guys back slowly, that's a huge bonus for this team. They need to start finding some continuity. I think this is a really good opportunity for them to continue to do that. The Pistons are not good. I would not expect them to beat the Heat back-to-back games, regardless of who the Heat have on the court. Probably you'd split them, but I wouldn't expect them to win both. You've got Tyler Herro back. Whether or not you get anyone else back, the Heat should win. I think the home crowd gives them a little bit more juice. I think the players are more comfortable at home. When they show up, which is usually halfway through the first quarter, Ricky. But at least they get to see their team win games, unlike Knicks fans. And so I think the Heat are going to blow that shit out and win that game.
God, that was
you're
corny.
absolutely right.
Try again.
Knicks aren't even in the play-in right now, so they're not in the conversation. Unlike
Also
Tyler
corny.
Herro.
Try again.
The boy feeling good.
We're feeling good. Ariel kind of alluded to it. You can't lose to this team twice. I don't care who you have. I don't care who they have. You hold Cade Cunningham once again and get the job done. Move on. This game shouldn't be that big of a deal. Treat it with the utmost respect because you got beat by them last time, but win the damn game and move forward.
Yeah, man. I'm right there with you. You guys know what I'm about to do. The Heat gonna blow this shit out, right? We're gonna go home. We're gonna be relaxed. They're gonna come into town and they're gonna realize they are not playing the same team, right? We're gonna come out with a different energy. I feel like we had an offensive lull many times in that game. We're not gonna have that same offensive problem this game. That team is not good enough to beat us be consistent enough to beat us twice. All right, we're gonna run them out of the building. We're gonna beat them up. He's gonna blow this shit out. So we got all of that. We're just under an hour. Appreciate everybody in the comments for joining us. Before I get out of here, I do want to thank our sponsors over at cptflorida.com. If you want any and all of your technological help, they're going to take care of you, right? Make sure you go to cpt-florida.com. Call 954-963-2775. Make sure you mention 5 reasons so they'll take extra good care of you. But that's all your IT service, all your consulting, all your cloud services. Anytime you need actual cloud services for your business and you don't want to actually learn how to do that shit yourself, so they'll take care of you and they'll actually do it for you, right? You don't have to have the insecurity of not knowing what you don't know. They'll make sure everything is taken care of. They'll make sure that everything is secure, and they'll make sure that you'll have utmost peace of mind when it comes to your cloud and technological service. So make sure you go to cpt-florida.com, call 954-963-2775. Tell them that 5 reasons sent you, and they'll take extra good care of you. So appreciate you, cpt-florida.com, for sponsoring the post-game show. And as well, we got 300 people in here. Before you head on out, appreciate it if you hit the like button, right? You've made it all the way through the end of the show, so thank you so much for joining us as well. You know, it's always a pleasure for everybody in the comments to join us. Just makes the show 10 times better than it would be without you guys. I appreciate you, Brian, Ricky, Ariel, and Gad for joining us, making this show awesome. Royal hopping in from the back, audibling and coming in and producing in last time. Appreciate you as well. But yeah, man, we're down here. Play the video, Royal.
At Miami Grill, we've been delivering big favorites from big places for over 30 years.
Jimmy Buckets! Clutch time! Tyler Herro, what a finisher he's become.
Lane, Oladipo. Oh! That's right. You better mean mug after you dunk on somebody that way.